Tonight we're going to be talking about an important area for growth of new clubs, and that's how to prepare for and approach school district superintendents, principals, and other school leaders. Kiwanis's SLP district administrators are the primary drivers responsible for opening and supporting new clubs through the chartering process and beyond. Laying the groundwork for a prospective new club really requires some strategy, curiosity, a lot of work, and some intentional communication to interest school leaders who are incredibly busy, especially increasingly into the 21st century. So today we'll cover a few topics. Our suggestion for step one is to strategize from your starting line. Step two, to do research. Step three, to customize the messaging and lean into the benefits of our K-Kids and Builders Clubs. And we are just going to remind you of some tools to help you recruit. And then we're going to hear from K-Kids District Administrator Becky Matson, who has some tips and some thoughts from a DA's perspective. So step one, strategize from the starting line. How you approach a principal or a district superintendent really depends on where you start. So going to talk about just a couple of things related to identifying your allies and assets that can help you with those conversations. So first, starting with a Kiwanis club that is already committed to sponsoring a K-Kids or a Builders Club annually is a huge advantage. That isn't always where you start. So acknowledging that's an asset to start with. You can share with the school leader what the Kiwanis Club contributes, in that it pays the club's initial charter fee and annual renewal fees each year, and there's a real monetary benefit to that. It also appoints a member to serve as a volunteer second advisor to the K-Kids or Builders Club, and they help the faculty advisor with club activities. Speaking as a former club advisor for service and service learning clubs, that's a real asset because teachers and administrators and staff in schools are incredibly busy. And then, of course, there are other benefits, making connections to community organizations, having other volunteers for big events. And of course, you want to make sure they're background checked, right? And they go through the process they need to, but those are all other benefits that you can talk about. And finally, some of these Kiwanis clubs sponsor other SLPs, so they may have a key club that they sponsor that's in the local area, and those key club members can be a huge asset as you approach. And I'm not going to steal anyone's thunder. We're going to talk a little bit more about that later on. So knowing someone in the school district office or the school where you want to prepare a new club can also be a real asset. This could be a district staff member. It could be a teacher, a counselor, a coach, a parent, a student, or an alumnus of the school. Or sometimes it is a parent that steps forward and reaches out to you or to the Kiwanis Club, or a student in the school district who really wants to start a new club. So all of these people can be both allies and assets. They can help in several ways. They can introduce you to the superintendent or the school principal or vice principal if they have those connections. They could introduce you, maybe more likely introduce you to a teacher or a staff member that they think would be interested in being a faculty advisor. And more importantly, and I'm going to say this a couple times, more importantly, they can identify if they're in the building, especially students and colleagues, who would be a good faculty advisor, who would be committed. And that makes a huge difference for the longevity of a club, right? The success and longevity of the club. And one of the things that that you want to look for are teachers who are not kind of focused on control, but focused on youth empowerment. So our clubs are student-led, and it's one of the things that distinguishes our service clubs from other clubs. They can also attend a meeting with the school or district leader to speak about student needs or how K-Kids and Builders Clubs benefit students. And they can also be the people to help appeal to a local Kiwanis Club to sponsor the new SLP if you don't have a Kiwanis Club sponsor in line yet. Doing research on the school district's website will go a long way. Explore its key statements about what it envisions its school really intends to give its students. Look at the mission, the values, the goals, key focus areas, which you can often find in a strategic plan or in other places or in just on the website itself. Pay attention to the language they use that match with what K-Kids and Builders Club experiences are about and what we teach. I will say I did not mention private and independent schools. They often have their own strategic documents, values, and strategic plans on their websites or accessible if you contact them. And they're another set of the school community whose values really align with what we do in our SLPs. So here are examples of an Ohio district's mission statement and a Colorado district's values that match the goals, focus, and values of K-Kids and Builders Club. In fact, you see here that Columbus City Schools has leadership and service as things that they want to develop in their students. Our member surveys show that both K-Kids and Builders Club clubs members feel that their experiences prepare them well for leadership and service. Also that they have fun and that teamwork or collaboration is a skill that most members report gaining. A huge number of members do, and that aligns with Denver Public Schools values. Related to another value at Denver Public School and to many schools value lists, if you take a look at them, or other statements related to equity, we include inclusivity as one of our core values in both K-Kids and Builders Club. There are several areas for programs, student support, and school development that most schools are focusing on today. Kiwanis youth programs can help schools achieve successes in these areas just because of what we do in our programs. At the forefront for school leaders, and this is not going to be news to you because we hear it all the time, is the mental health epidemic in the US and across the world with youth. Too many students in the US are experiencing a lack of belonging and feelings of disconnection in their own schools and communities. Students across the country are battling mental health challenges. All of our clubs connect students to peers, to adult mentors, and to their communities in meaningful ways. Our members tell us that their clubs provide a sense of belonging. They build confidence and they empower students to participate and to lead. All things that are about mental wellness. So you'll also see another area of focus is social emotional learning. K-Kids and Builders Clubs help with social emotional growth as well as focusing on mental, as well as helping with mental wellness. Our members experience and show care and empathy. They learn to set and achieve goals. They also develop positive relationships with adults and also with fellow members and people in the outside community as well.
Luana, can I just add something real quick?
Please.
So the notes that Luana is sharing, those are actually the things that the students have told us in our surveys. So, this is coming from students saying that they feel and do these things. So I think that's also really important when you are talking is, where this is coming from. Is it, we are actually surveying and asking our students these questions and they're telling us that. So I think it just helps show, that there's some data, and that's what school principals and superintendents are looking for.
This year we had an increased number of members members that responded to the surveys. When we've asked you in the past as administrators to encourage your advisors to have their members complete surveys and to complete the surveys themselves, it's incredibly beneficial to us. We can make lots of statements about our programs, but the most powerful one, by observation and anecdote, and by hearing stories, the most powerful way to express what we know happens in clubs is to know it because we're told it by members and advisors who are there living through those experiences. That data is really important. So we encourage you to encourage them as the end of year surveys are opened in April for them to complete them, because it gives us a better picture of what's going on. And then there's another area of focus for many schools on service and leadership. Most schools and districts really want to offer their students opportunities, and they offer them in big and small ways to learn leadership development and engage in service. Particularly, some schools have service requirements, and being a member of a K-Kids or a Builders Club, and usually it's middle schools and high schools that have service requirements, a good number of our clubs, the majority of our clubs, do 5 or more or 4 or more actually service projects. But service projects aren't just about the day of doing something, right? It's also planning. So students can really meet those requirements through belonging to our clubs. But it's also just a good thing to talk about and to share with others, and to be able to reflect on and share in essays. And it helps build their, some people use the term civic portfolio, right? Or civic resume. So it helps build them as members of their community and civic leaders. Leadership development is really important also, particularly in middle school. And our club combining both is a powerful thing. So now that you've identified the allies and assets, and you've done some research to gather the kind of core values statements, programming of schools and district, and some of the language that they use, it's time to draft your email or create a presentation, or to prepare for a meeting with a principal, superintendent, or other school leader. And you'll want to incorporate what you've learned. So how do you craft a message for school leaders? Again, make sure that you cover how the district's mission and values align with K-Kids and Builders Club's values and experiences. Make sure that you use the language that you see kind of over and over again, or highlighted in their statements and in their documents and in their goals. Make sure that you highlight how K-Kids and Builders Clubs benefits their students, because that's really why they're there, right? In those ways that they're focused on their students growing, and how they align with, growing, and what their goals are, and how they align with what our experiences are like. So make sure you focus on those key areas. All schools are focused on mental wellness right now. Social emotional learning was called other things maybe, but it's really about strong relationships, but that's not the language they use, right? So it's about strong relationships and healthy social connections, and healthy emotional resilience and other things. But if they use social emotional learning, use that term, because that's important. If they use resilience, use that term, right? And if they use collaboration, use that term, because we know that our students report that collaboration, for instance, is something that they really learn. And then finally, if there is a sponsoring Kiwanis Club, mention its support and offer to connect them through your email and move the conversation along. Just a kind of a side note, a few other things. While the majority of schools and districts want to offer opportunities for students to learn leadership development and to engage in service, not all of them do, or not all of them do both of those things. Resources, particularly time in the schedule, staffing, and expertise are scarce. For a school without programs, talk about how creating a K-Kids or Builders Club can fill that void.
Oh, and it looks like Michelle has her hand up.
I'm sorry. Hi, Michelle.
Hi, Luana. Quick question. When you were talking about crafting the presentation, so I've given several of these this year. And when we were at the training in Las Vegas, you gave us a thumb drive with a package that included a sample presentation that was a PDF. And I believe we just got that PDF because the goal was all of the information was being updated for Builders Club and K-Kids, right? So is there going to be any additional resources that you guys can provide, like an updated maybe PowerPoint template that we can use and then build in the right language for each of these schools? That's maybe a more refreshed version.
I'm excited that you mentioned that, Michelle. I will say that what was on the thumb drive was maybe a basic presentation. Was it a basic presentation, or was it the template where you can create your own presentation?
It was not the template. We got a PDF version of a
Okay.
PowerPoint that someone else had given. There's great stuff in there, but you can't customize it, right?
Okay, so there is a downloadable presentation that needs to be updated, and we may have pulled it from the website. Sometimes there's some old things on the website we haven't yet pulled. We're actually in the process right now of refreshing and rewriting some of the sections of the website. Our goal is to have the new Builders Club website up near the beginning of the year, of the new service year. But that's one of the pieces that we actually have to work on. So if you'll send me an email, as soon as that's ready, we'll send that on to you so that you have a fresh copy. You can create your own, and I'm going to talk about the templates in just a minute.
Yeah, I just was nice to not have to start.
Yeah, of course. Oh, and finding images is a lot of time and work. Yeah. So thank you. We'll put that on our sooner list rather than later list when it comes to when we get to the resources section. It should be next month.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you for mentioning that. Some school leaders, we know that our clubs have a lot of benefits for the students, right? You want to lean into that, because even if it's not, because that's what schools want to hear. They want to hear and we've shared some of the ways that you want to talk about how our clubs benefit students. Some school leaders will also perk up when they're reminded that a new service leadership club will add positively to their reputation and their image of the school and of their students in the local community. K-Kids and Builders Clubs make real substantial contributions of time and physical resources that better many different community needs and raise awareness about them as well. They actually also help the school and its students engage and connect through their local communities, so that communities feel closer to the students in the school. You can go to the next slide, Lisa. Thank you. A tip from veteran CNH K-Kids administrator Jeff Ott: remember to mention Key Club. Share that Kiwanis International Service Leadership Programs, K-Kids or Builders Club, includes our biggest program, which is Key Club International. Key Club is our most widely known program, and it's a trusted brand. It will open doors and give credibility to what you share about K-Kids and Builders Club. Jeff says he mentions it in his initial email. He just will mention that it's that they're an affiliate, they're affiliated with K-Kids and Builders Club. And then finally, you know, when you're starting to have initial conversations, even with the people, if you have people that you know within the school community, pay attention to what you've learned about the school district or from communicating with the school leaders about, you know, what are their concerns? Are budgets tight? Does the school not have time to create a new program from the ground up? Is a leader concerned about liability? Make sure to mention what Kiwanis International provides for them that address their particular needs or concerns. For instance, if they don't have time to create a new program, you talk about how K-Kids or Builders Club provides a ready-to-go program kit and a club website resources and Kiwanis International staff to help faculty advisors start club activities on day one. If they're concerned about liability, then you talk about the our youth protection policies, liability insurance, and background checks that we require for Kiwanis the Kiwanis advisor and any volunteers. And of course, if budgets are tight, you talk about, and you have a sponsoring Kiwanis Club locked in, you talk about how these fees are paid annually. And sometimes there's also additional assistance with service projects. So finally, we do have, and thank you, Michelle, for that intro. We do have tools to help you recruit. Remember that we're here and we provide support and create resources that can help you grow clubs. Like, next slide, Lisa. The kkids.org and buildersclub.org websites are full of the resources that are downloadable, easy to use, and will help you tell the club story. With presentation templates, I'm sorry, can you go back, Lisa? With presentation templates, thank you note templates, and club letterhead, you can personalize correspondence and presentations without, without starting from scratch, or we could just give you a presentation that you can then customize. So we'll work on that. Each club line also has a brief promotional video that I think a number of you have said are really nice videos. And you can download it to show at a meeting, or you can include the video link in an email that you send. That is a powerful tool to use for groups of parents as well. Also consider sharing direct links to the program materials that are available online, like the main resources, the member advisor and service guides or toolkits, to help school leaders better understand the programs and how they would help support some of the goals that we've talked about. Make sure to choose resources that show how the clubs foster skill development, which they're very interested in, hard and soft skills, social emotional growth, service and leadership, as we've talked about, since these rank high in the goals of many school districts. Thanks, Lisa. Well, we've asked Becky Matson, Wisconsin Upper Michigan K-Kids Administrator, and she has many other roles, as many of you do, to share a few thoughts about 2 points that we talked about in today's presentation. So, Becky, first, from your experience, how can an administrator engage the help of members of other SLPs in approaching school leaders about starting a new K-Kids or Builders Club?
I think the key there is if you, especially if you have a key club in your location or in your district or division, getting their voices to speak to, it's kind of like when we're trying to recruit Kiwanis members, we all say, well, if we could get the SLPs to join Kiwanis when they are of age, it's kind of like you look for your own recruitment tool. So the voices of those of our SLPs that are already in service, in that service mode, for them to talk about what, what they value and get out of it. And that they're willing to support and help with a new club at starting up. When we were working with K kids in our community here, our Key Club came and helped. They signed up and they helped at every one of our K kids meetings. And so there was always that extra help. And then they had that connection to where these are kids that will, move into our schools later on. And I think when administrators or principals hear young leaders talk about their passions with service to school and to community, I think it's a much stronger message than when we as adults are talking to them.
Sorry, Lisa, could you go back? Oh, thank you. How can a district administrator that slide? Sorry. Yep.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So yeah, and another point was in talking to administrators about clubs, and it might even be in my situation, we had a change in principals, and all of a sudden the principal that was retiring said, well, you should just be done with K kids. Well, the kids that were in club that year in K kids just really screamed about, we don't want K kids to be done. And so, taking documentation of what had happened the year before, having those students then talking and kind of doing a sales pitch to the new principal about why K kids should continue in that building. I've had that experience as well. And like I said, it's all about the kids. And like, if you have K kids and you don't have Builders Club, they're going to tell you, we want to be able to continue. So if the students that you're working with that have been members can again be the voice of why you need to have that next program, that next SLP that is kind of missing maybe in your format, it's helpful.
And Becky, I love that suggestion of having graduating K kids and Builders Club members really show support to create a club at the next level, right? They're going to be, I mean, they've already had the experience in one SLP, and to take that passion and all that experience to the next school that they go to,
Also that the fact that they're modeling that they've already developed some leadership skills, and they demonstrate that for those adults involved.
That's great. So, and the second topic that we've asked for your thoughts on is this great concern in many schools today about the mental health crisis. And our question is, can you share your thoughts on what ways K kids clubs and Builders Clubs help their members feel like they belong and are connected to others?
Well, a big part of it, again, I think, is in that leadership model where we have these young leaders who are learning, or young people who are learning how to be leaders. And the key is that every club member has a voice, that you give all club members an opportunity. I always used to talk to, when I was a faculty advisor, we'd have elections and I would tell everybody, there's no one officer more important than another. You just have a title to kind of give you an idea what you might be helping with, but nobody is higher than anybody else in here. You're all the voice, when you're in meetings like that, board meetings, you're the voice of the rest of the group as you're making decisions. Involvement, and like when you get, you might bring in a speaker who's going to speak about something that an area that your club members have looked at, like this is something we want to move forward on. You've done some education. Our club this year is focusing on homelessness of children in our community and our school district. So we had the school district homeless program chair or liaison person from the district come in and talk to the kids and explain to them and give them that power of knowing some facts about what does homelessness look like in our schools. But she was great. She was asking them, what do you think? And so again, all the kids were able to share, but she's an educator, so she knows how to do that and pull that information from the kids. And then talking about then the project that we had kind of been talking about in our club. And then we shared that information. And the advantage we have is she's also the president of one of our Kiwanis clubs in Eau Claire. And so again, we were talking about, and they could see how they were spearheading an idea that would include not only the K kids, but our Key Club, our Circle K, and our Kiwanis members in connection with the community, because it'll be in a folk arts festival where they're pulling people from the community also to work on the project. So that makes them feel real powerful when they can really have a voice even in the community about, we think this is important. And I think it's all those times that you develop when you're developing partnerships in the community, that's so important, because when our youth are educated about all the different ways that they can help, they always have ideas. I'm always impressed by the ideas that come out of kids, and I'm like, just sit back and listen, and they will just, fuel the fire. And I know when I'm in our K Kids Club currently is at a history museum, because when COVID hit, we kind of had some doors shut. But when they were in the school setting, the other thing was, you might have had your kids that were in K Kids, and I would have 75 kids in a year in our club. And they literally, then we would work with the principal and get permission to do things. But then we would lead the school in like recycling. We do a book exchange. We would do a food drive. We ran a school store. They were able to really, actively engage the entire school as a club. And so obviously their voice, was really heard, and they were modeling for other kids. So it was really a cool experience.
Becky, thanks so much for all of those thoughts. You have so much experience, and you've shared some of your stories with us, and we've had good conversations. So thanks for sharing, and wondering if, related to what Becky has shared, if anyone else has any tips or that you'd like to share. Barbara.
I'm the Builders Club administrator for MNDAC, and one day I received a call from our Key Club board members, and they were asking, they had at a board meeting for the Key Club kids for MNDAC had gotten into a discussion about how much stronger the Key Clubs would be if we could get Builders Clubs in all the schools, all the districts where we have Key Clubs. And so we've been working on that. It's not easy, because you have to have a sponsoring club that's got enough members to be able to sponsor both Key Club or more than one Key Club. Many of them have, and the same thing with Builders Clubs. And we also have to get into all the schools to be able to do that. So we're working on several right now, but it's a great idea. And from my point of view, I'm a retired principal myself, elementary principal. From my point of view, what a great thing to have kids come out of middle school and go into the high school knowing where they're going and that they belong. And that's such a critical piece. And so I just wanted to mention that the Key Clubs here, kids here are all for it, and they probably would be across the board.
Well, I just want to say one thing, because that's so true. Being a K Kids faculty advisor for years, the joke is I'm also a Key Club advisor right now in my club. And 5 of the 8 Key Club officers are my former K kids. And
Wow.
so I don't mind hanging out with them because they're my people anyway. But so it's so true. It's so true. You're growing your leaders.
I
Jennifer,
can
did you,
support that too. We have a situation where the K kids have gone quiet after COVID. The high school kids who were former K kids are now excited to make that one of their service projects. And I feel the biggest challenge is getting that faculty advisor and making it worth their while, showing that it's not going to be all on them and whatever their needs are. And I think we have to listen carefully to whoever that person is and get them involved earlier in the stage. It's just tricky, and every school is different.
Yes.
The only other thing I was thinking that, and you guys can speak on this, it showed we had some situations of schools being approached that don't have key clubs, etc. But we're excited to know of testimonials, written or verbal, of superintendents and principals where they've had experience with this and they can tell them peer to peer, this works. So that's something I would probably add to the list of offerings when you go seeking new clubs. So that's it.
thank you. Anyone else? Oh, yes, Lonnie.
I'm a Key Club advisor locally, but I'm also district administrator for Builders Club. And I go to the Key Club district convention, and they allow me to do a session on Builders Club. And basically, I just put it to the kids and say, hey, who's going to take your place when you graduate and go to college and you go into the CKI or out into the workforce? I said, the best way to do that is to have a Builders Club moving in right behind you. They're leave a legacy. And like I put in the chat earlier, they respond really well to that. And they go back and shake, rattle, and roll with their sponsoring Kiwanis Club and say, I want to sponsor a Builders Club. And so 3 out of the 4 clubs we've started so far this year have been co-sponsored by Key Club. And the kids love it. Those kids in middle school would much rather listen to a high schooler than they would to me.
Any others?
Can I just mention one thing, because I do wear a couple hats, and one is I'm a lieutenant governor for the Division 12 in Wisconsin, Upper Michigan, as well as I'm a secretary in my club. So I know stuff that a lot of people don't know when you're in an administrative position, but I felt that becoming a lieutenant governor and still staying on as an administrator I think it's important that the lieutenant governors get to know their clubs well enough to know their needs. So when I had my, on Tuesday night, when the club president was presenting to my K kids from the other club, all of a sudden it was like, well, I went in and presented to their club just about SLPs, but focused on K kids specifically. And they said, hey, we're kind of investigating and testing out whether we could start a K kids club and then they mentioned the one of 13 schools in the city. And they have a K club, but they haven't had advisor for 2 years. And so I think they're frustrated that they can't get things continued and reactivated at the high school level. So they're going to go back to the grassroots, start with K kids, and then move up to Builders Club. They know which one that school flows into, and then reassess, Key Club again. So I think lieutenant governors really need to know more about the SLPs so they can be of support. It can't all be done by the administrators and also your secretaries. If they don't know what's going on about background checks and get that information out to current people, I don't have, as an administrator, I don't have the ability to send that link, but my secretary does. So I think it's knowing who your key people are, your lieutenant governors and your secretaries, and really reaching out to them. And also K Kids and Builders Club administrators partnering together. I have an advantage that Fred Dietz is in my division, so we're close by each other. And so I think really, teaming on those kinds of aspects And then looking to see too, you know, my goal is to analyze where I have builders clubs on top of my K kids and that are close by, and then your key clubs, so that you could give some guidance to the divisions as to how to, you know, where to maybe start a new SLP.
Thank you, Becky. Thank you, everyone for sharing your thoughts and suggestions and some questions in the chat, as well as with the group. And thank you for being here this evening. If it is evening, I think it is evening for everyone here. So good night, and do reach out to us. And we did hear about the two needs you're asking for: updated presentations and testimonials from school leaders. So we'll put that on our list. Thanks so much. Have a
Thank
good
you.
night.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. We appreciate you all.
Yeah, thank you guys for your time. Bye.
Bye, everybody.